Alrighty, we are live. Bum, 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 bum. Happy Monday, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah. Welcome to Orbit, another stream with myself, Kurt Kemple, and Trevor Blades. And yeah, we're gonna go over what has happened in GraphQL this week. Bum, bum, bum.
Happy Monday.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Um,
Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that.
dude,
I was
you
in the wrong app and I
a
hit
little too
enter.
quick off the mark there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, you look different today, Kurt.
Oh, you
Did
do?
did did, some, did
Or I
something
do?
happen
Yeah.
this weekend?
Yeah, actually, I trimmed my mustache.
Oh, that must be it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, no, I dyed my hair green, the whole head. There it is. It's really a
Wow,
nice green.
glamorous.
It is glamorous. I'm digging it. I really like it. Yeah, quarantine things.
Yeah, I guess so. And Khalil, our coworker Khalil mentioned that you've reached this is like a rite of passage for
Yes.
Apollo developer advocates. When he joined, he had green hair.
Did he really? I didn't know. So I knew that, like, yeah, I guess it was actually kind of like still faded out a little bit when
Yeah,
we were in SF, San Francisco. Yeah.
but I think when we were in SF, he had red.
Oh,
He had
that's
red
right,
hair.
red. That's
Yeah,
right.
so you can expect to one day graduate hopefully to red hair. This
To
this this
red?
seems
Is that like a
this
level?
seems
It's
to
like
be the pattern that Apollo developer advocates take. I don't know. It's you
that's
could be the first one
hilarious.
to break the pattern too. So well, that's all yet to be seen.
Oh man. So like if I do a different style,
Yeah,
or
then we throw out the playbook.
we
Then
have to start
everything we
over.
thought we knew is actually incorrect.
That's amazing. Well, there's a lot of pressure, It's like, because part of you wants to carry on tradition, and then part of you wants to, be your own peacock, right? Spread your feathers.
Yeah, what's it gonna be? I don't know.
I
We'll
don't
see.
know. We'll see. We'll have to see. Only time will tell, but it'll be a long time, I would imagine, before we find out. Well, what's new with you? Anything new with you this weekend or this whole week? Some people might not have seen us maybe since last Thursday or even Monday.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, um,
Oh yeah,
last week was pretty cool. We launched the blog. We ran into some crazy Netlify issues.
that
Got
was
that
crazy.
sorted out eventually, and so that was good. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, man, this week was pretty chill. I worked on a talk all week, or a weekend rather. Um,
Okay.
I'm, I'm giving a talk on Tuesday at Reactadelphia, um,
Okay. Nice.
which is a virtual conference hosted here on Twitch. Um, I'll plug a link for that. Oh, I guess I can talk about it right now while we're on the subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be hosted at twitch.tv/Reactadelphia.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and it'll be myself and two other speakers tomorrow on Tuesday.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. Yeah, that's
I know,
definitely news for this week.
yeah, for sure. My talk is at 1 p.m. Eastern, but I can get more information about the event as a whole and maybe plug it again at the end when I have my when I have more information prepared. But yeah, super excited about that, and hopefully it goes well.
Awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I'm very excited for you. I hope it goes well as well. And if you can grab maybe the link to just like their Twitch channel or something and drop it in here, that'd be cool. Um, yeah.
Absolutely,
Because, yeah, that's awesome. It's like a virtual meetup. That's what
exactly.
I'm talking about. That's what we
Yeah,
need more of.
that's really like the yeah, I think that we talk a lot of the discussion around the world right now is about what the new normal will be, um, and I think this is just another example that comes to mind that moving forward, we're all excited to get back to um, in-person tech conferences and interacting with our community person to person. But I really think that having this like supporting virtual events is going to be uh, is very likely going to be a new normal that we face coming out of all this, and so it's really exciting to get in on that action, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. It's a good segue. So this previous week, I was involved with React Summit, um, and I did. It was cool. I did like a workout session during the break, which was really fun.
Oh,
And then I hosted. We played Quake.js. We had a Quake.js tournament. So like I
that's
hosted
dope.
that Zoom room. Yeah, and I streamed it too. It was pretty fun.
How did that go? Did you
It
win?
Oh no, no, no. It's a first person shooter. If it's a first person shooter game, I'm done. I'm done. But I will
Okay,
say
good to
this
know.
that like by the time we were done, about 2 hours later, I was no longer in last place.
Oh,
Yeah, I crawled my way up. Well, that's not true. Once people started like dropping off and only the really good people were left, I was back in last. But there was a couple rounds where it was good. And then I even took a screenshot because at one time I had the most kills. I was in first, but it was just like for a second. But I still caught it. I
all
got a
right. Yeah,
screenshot. So
you had your moment in the sun.
yeah, technically to me I won. That means I won. So that's
Yeah, that screenshot would indicate as much.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It was really fun. I had a blast. But yeah, just like talking about virtual events, which also segues into like my first hot topic item. But yeah, it was very fun to participate in that virtual kind of environment. And yeah, it was nice. I could see like I don't see why that wouldn't be possible to do what they did and have an in-person part to it if you wanted to, or do like in-person and virtual events. It opens up so many doors. It's basically what it
Hey,
is.
I have a question actually. I mean,
Yeah.
on that topic, in person and virtual, you hosted a workout room
Yes.
in a virtual event. Have you ever hosted or heard of a workout event being hosted at a tech conference at an in-person event?
Yeah, yoga. So
Okay, okay.
React Conf has had morning yoga. Um, and I that's the only one that I know of. There's that. I mean, that's not 100% true. There's also, I believe, like DevLift's sponsored maybe React
So,
Rally or another conference, like another one like that. And I think they may have done like a workout thing as well. But I don't think like a serious type thing, kind of like that. And I would love to do that. That's a great idea.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
interesting how like the virtual venue um, kind of like opens up all these different ideas,
Yep.
and like people are trying to be more creative, thinking about um, ways ways to engage with the community
Yes.
virtually, and maybe like putting more emphasis on it than would normally be put on these kind of things in an in-person event. Based on my personal experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that yeah, that's going to carry over a large part to the physical world as well. I think that people will start to see like, oh, okay, we don't have to do like the same type of things every
Mhm.
time. Like we can switch it up.
Yeah, we can host Quake tournaments.
Yeah, yeah, we can host quick tournaments. And then there was other things. They had bars, different bars going, I think, where they played like some online games, and then one where they were creating music, like so they, just if you were a musician, you could go in there and people were like working on writing a song together, I think.
Wow,
Uh, yeah, it's really interesting.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, I
Uh,
like it.
yeah, I think
I,
it's a dope idea. Um,
yeah,
I mean, you mentioned that this segues well into the into our first
it does.
news item of the day. Do you want to get right into that?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. Yeah, let's get into it. So now would be the right time to go.
Orbital phase initiated.
Hey, soundboard. All
Right
right,
on the mark.
right on the mark. So yeah, I'm working on that. Okay, let's see here. So, ooh, the first item on the list. is, speaking of virtual events, we have one coming up. So we're having our first virtual event, Apollo Space Camp. And I'm very stoked about this. I can't wait. I think that, just the idea of virtual events in themselves open up a lot of doors. Like, I don't know, it's just, way more accessible. Like, the full event access for the 2 days is like $40, and like that's so cheap when you think about it. Like, so that's another part of the virtual that I love, which is it makes it a lot more possible for people to get there. You don't have to pay for travel and pay for, more expensive tickets and stuff. So it's awesome. And the live stream talks, the talks are free. So those are just going to be available anyway. But the full event access, that's where it's at, because you got Moon Highway doing a workshop on like schema design. So that's Eve Purcello and Alex Bex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's going to be amazing. Then we are going to have the talks, and then like the special Q&A with the people who are talking, and Apollo. There's going to be like a bunch of breakout rooms with different topics, and again, different types of activities. So that's going to be here as well. Yeah, so I'm excited about this. It's coming up too, so it's at the end of April. I should blow this up. That's probably really small. I always forget to do that. It's like the last step, and it's not blowing up. There we go. Ew. Yeah, but I can't wait. I'm pretty pumped about this. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it goes. Like you said, it's an absolute steal. $40 is what you'd spend on an Uber ride from SFO to your hotel if this were happening.
That is so true. That's pretty much exactly what it is. And that's without the tip.
Yeah, exactly. So you really can't go wrong there. And if you don't want to shell out $40, talk to your company. I'm sure they'd be happy to send you. And
yeah.
And yeah, I mean the content really can't be rivaled. Even Alex are like the foremost presenters on this kind of subject matter, and they produce content that's like fun and funny and
I love
engaging, and it really will level up your GraphQL skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean I can't say enough about this. I think it's going to be a good time.
So let me drop the link too, and come hang out with me. We're gonna be there. I'm gonna be doing one of the breakout rooms for sure. I think I'm definitely gonna do another workout thing. I'm really hoping to do that. That would be so much fun. Yeah.
I mean, and just kind of like with regards to what we were talking about before, there's going to be a lot of different non-coding related rooms going on.
Yep.
And some coding related ones too.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's going to be an opportunity for the web development community to come together and just interact with each other for a couple days, and it's going to be really fun. Like Kurt said, he's going to be hosting a workout room. There's going to be like music rooms and like a variety of other things. It'd be fun to just get everybody together. When you sign up, you're going to be prompted to like vote for a different like
activities.
What should we call them? Like activity rooms.
Yeah.
And so you can basically have your voice heard in terms of what
help shape the event.
Yep. So it's really a unique opportunity for us as developers.
Absolutely. And another thing that I kind of glossed over and want to touch on more is just like the networking aspect of this. Like, just because it's virtual doesn't mean you lose that networking ability and the ability to meet people from the community. If anything else, it might even for some make it more comfortable because it's a little bit more anonymous, right? It's through chat or like it's a Zoom, and we would love like if people have their cameras on with us and interacting. But for some of the stuff, hey, if you're not comfortable, you can always just chat. But yeah, it's going to be awesome, and there's going to be a lot of people, as you mentioned, who are at like the top of like the GraphQL kind of experience, right? And just a lot of amazing people who are also really great people and who love to talk and chat about all things GraphQL. So, and
Mhm.
Apollo, yeah,
I mean, the fact that is virtual, you bring up a good point. From a networking perspective, it almost levels the field a
yeah,
little bit more. It makes people more approachable. Everybody's at this event. Everybody is just a little bubble in a in
yeah,
a, in a Zoom call,
yeah,
and nobody's off limits. Everybody's super accessible, and I know, speaking for myself and Kurt, I'll speak for you. We're both super eager to meet the community and talk to people, and
absolutely.
yeah, and I'm sure the same goes for plenty of other attendees.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I think that's enough. I think hey, if we haven't convinced you at this point, but yeah, I really hope to see you all there because it's going to be amazing, and I just want to hang out with you. If nothing else, just come hang out. Like
Well
really, it's
said.
like just 2 days to chat and hang out with the community. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. So that is my first thing. This second thing, it's like funny because I was like, oh, it's definitely going in the other direction. But it's really cool. I was really impressed when I saw this. So first, I'm just going to open up this link. So we'll start with this. And so what I have here is a graphical playground. And if you look at the title, let me blow this up. It might be hard to see. Let me scroll on this. It's called jQuery, right? So
All
what
right.
this is jQuery through GraphQL.
What?
Yeah, so if you look here over here, I've got page, right, in a URL. I'm passing in the worst dev. So the worst dev is my blog. It's just this site here. And so what I'm doing is I'm passing it in, and then I pass it in my query. And so right now I'm just getting the element with ID Gatsby, which basically wraps like the whole page, essentially,
Okay.
and returning the HTML. And so I run this, and I guess it's like, spinning up probably like a serverless function or something and running headless Chrome, like something like that, a headless
Yeah.
browser. And yeah, and fetching out the HTML, the element, and like you can do more than this. So you can find within it attr, val, text. Like you can build a query of HTML pages. And so I'm going to tell you why. Like it's just, first of all, it's really funny.
Hmm.
It's just cool because it's like jQuery there, but this is remote execution, right? So this is like having to use like Cheerio. So I don't know if anybody's ever had to deal with web scraping before, but this is like a
Yes.
very real thing. It's a very real problem, and it's not always easy to do. So being able to represent your queries with jQuery as GraphQL queries is
Hmm.
actually really nice. That's like a very pleasing way. It takes the code that's normally very declarative and makes it a little, or very imperative, and makes it a little more declarative. So I like it. I'm all here for it. I love this.
That is mind blowing, dude.
Yeah, and if I ever have to scrape a web page, like I'm gonna use this. Like this is
Yeah.
amazing. And so now I want to give credit where credit is due. So let me get this link, and let's open that up real quick. And so this is Kurt, and Kurt also, we share the name, so check that out. But yeah, I'm gonna give you a follow too because that was awesome. Oh, cool, thanks. I was gonna post that. Yeah,
For sure.
and yeah, I am just like blown away here. And of course, like I don't know if you all are familiar with Tomas, but like he is like obsessed with like jQuery. He makes like a lot of jQuery jokes and stuff like that. So tagged him on this. Everyone else is tagging him on this. Look, jQuery evangelist. LOL.
That's
So,
funny. That is
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I never. I think I followed Thomas, but I never like clued
Yeah.
into that. So maybe I'm just like oblivious. But
Yeah.
that is
Well, I feel like he's like, it's just like he doesn't like all the time, like pumping out things, but it's just funny. It's just like someone will post something and then he'll respond with something about jQuery, and it's just funny. All right. So let's see. Yeah, that was that one, which
that's pretty
again, I was
interesting.
like, yeah, it's really interesting. I was like, ooh, there's a lot of good finds this week.
Yeah, I've used Cheerio
Yeah.
before actually, and this like makes me think of an interesting thing where um I use let me think about how to phrase this. So I built a website that essentially scrapes um, HLTV.org, which is like a Counter-Strike stats website for they aggregate stats and rank players within the pro Counter-Strike scene.
Got
Um,
it.
and so I built a website that's like derivative of that data, and I use a library that uses Cheerio that scrapes HLTV.org,
Right.
and then I made a custom source in Gatsby that like makes calls
New.
to makes calls to that API basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I'm wondering is if with what is it called, jQuery, if I could essentially like strip out the all that middle stuff, and create a new source in Gatsby using Gatsby source GraphQL, and just run my all of like the scraping that I need to do using jQuery instead of having all these middle layers. Um, and I'm sure that like it opens up a whole new class of websites, like statically built Gatsby websites that scrape their data using jQuery.
Yeah. That's
You
mind
know,
blowing.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Like in Kurt's tweet, he has like a couple like raffle emojis, and but like, listen, it's no laughing matter,
It's
sir.
not like it is, but it's also like, wow, thank you, because you just built something extremely useful. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And unexpected. This is not what most people think of when they think of GraphQL.
exactly, which is why I love it so much, because it just goes to show like everything fits within a graph. Like it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Um, you know, oh yeah,
ergonomics.
yeah, exactly. And I brought up Cheerio just in case like anyone wasn't familiar. Cheerio is a lot like jQuery, basically the exact same API, but it's meant to be used from within like Node. So it's aware that it's not like technically within a browser, and will make sure that everything works for you. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because doesn't it like load like a fake, like it has the polyfills, and so like it basically creates like a virtual DOM, and then you like query
Exactly.
within that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like the second line there, Cheerio load is
Right.
basically like you're loading in a set of HTML as like the DOM that you're going to work on, um,
Got it.
and then everything else you manipulate that like virtual object.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right, cool. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so that was it. That was the second one, and I was just like, oh, that's so cool. While we're going, and I forgot to do this at the beginning, if you're here and you're watching and you've seen anything interesting in the last little while, let me know. Yeah, we'd love to see it. All right,
Mhm.
so while that is going, I'm gonna. Oh man, I lost. Here you are. Oh, so this was an interesting topic that I just wanted to take a second to talk about, because it's something that I feel like isn't really well, like, I guess, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Defined, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, what is the best practices when it comes to dealing with versioning and fields and like deprecation and like it happens sometimes, right? Like schemas need to change. Ideally, they're not supposed to, right? And should always remain backwards compatible. But like, there's a difference between like ideal and like sometimes what happens in the real world, right? And so I found this article very interesting, so I wanted to share it because it just covers some info about versioning and like as far as like the difference between REST APIs type of versioning and like what that can look like in GraphQL. And then he also covers a couple different variations of like ways that you can evolve a schema. So I thought that was really cool too because it's one of the first posts where I've seen take multiple different avenues. Normally they're focused on one type of example. So I thought this was a great post for those, and you already shared it for me. Thank you. I was just about to post it. Yeah. I think it's just a good article for anyone who has not experienced this topic much before in GraphQL, or even if you have, just to think about different ways.
Can we go through some of the concepts that they talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I wanted to do. So I'm trying to think of like where the best place to start is. I guess we don't have to talk about. Well, some of this stuff is good. I'm not going to go over the REST stuff. So in REST, it's generally like your API is almost all or nothing. So like when you move a version of a REST API, like you're supposed to retarget that version for everything. Whereas like with GraphQL, versioning can happen at a much more granular level. And I think that's the biggest like premise about. Not to say that people can't version parts of a REST API. Separately, but you often don't see that, at least in my experience. Okay.
This is interesting, actually. They pointed out in the paragraph that's half scrolled at the top of the page. So if you just scroll up a little bit more,
this one.
They talk about that paragraph there. So they talk about some of the conventions that you might see, like api.url.com/v1 or you use a subdomain v1 dot whatever. But the header one is actually really interesting, and that's not something that I'm super familiar with. But
wow.
But I like that. I like that idea,
Yep.
and that kind of gets me thinking that you could actually use. You could really use any of these for a GraphQL API as well, but the header one seems especially nice, just in the interest of again, like keeping your graph in one place, and you could even respond to a version header on a field by field basis too. Like some fields might not have a difference between v1 and v2, and some fields might. But I don't want to jump ahead too much. Maybe they'll talk about that in the post.
Maybe we'll see. But that's a very good call. You could slap it on context and then just go down the whole tree. Yeah.
This topic is particularly interesting to me. A little while ago, I made some changes to an API that I have, and I was debating whether, and we actually talked about this on the Launchpad stream, for the countries API. I was debating a change where my singular country field, which takes a string country code as an argument, rather than taking a string, I could have it take a value out of an enum of known country codes.
That's right.
But that would have been a breaking change. So, and that would have been really, really undesirable, because if lots of people use this API and then I publish a breaking change to production, that's bad. But it would maybe debatably make the API better. So how do you weigh that decision? And maybe this post will illuminate some things. In the end, I didn't make the change. I just kept the string argument as is, because it works and it's fine. But this topic was going through my head recently.
Yeah, and I think that it's a topic that like I said, is not covered very well in definition, and you don't see a ton of examples of it, and so that's why it just really piqued my interest. So it's funny that you said, you're not used to the headers. I am used to that because that was something that we actually did at MLS.
Oh, interesting.
Was versioning through headers. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was a lot easier, especially with like something like a distributed system, because it could get like really weird trying to manage all those like subdomains or paths. So yeah, it worked well because you just specify it in the header, and the request, like nothing on the client has to change to
Yeah.
accommodate that, until you flip like the header. Yeah, it was cool. It made it easier to do on per request like changes as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it was cool. All right, so yeah, let's dig into this a little bit. I just want to go over like just the types that they do. So when they talk about evolving the schema, essentially, I guess they're saying like, so if you re-implement the field using a different name, deprecate the field. So this is what they're saying normally that people do. Deprecate the field, requesting clients to use a new field instead. Whenever the field is not used anymore by anyone, remove it from the schema. And so for their example, they have an account, and then here surname is required, and then here surname has changed, right? It's no longer required. They don't want it required anymore. That would be the breaking change. So because clients might not be expecting it to be null, right? That's the part that's breaking. You can assume that it's always there because it's not nullable. It would break, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to change that. So what they do is deprecate surname and tell them to use person surname, which is interesting. I see that. I just hate that name. I don't know why it bothers
Yeah.
me. But
Yeah.
once that's done, and no one is using surname, then you're left with this. But he says this isn't the final answer. He says there's a problem with this. That's like his whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so field names become less neat, right? Like person surname becomes person name, account name. Like basically you just come up with some other name, even though you really want that original field name.
Mhm.
I think that is a big problem. And the schema may accumulate a bunch of deprecated fields. Like if people don't remove them, if people continue to use them and never migrate,
Right.
um, and you're still seeing metrics, then you're just stuck with these two fields.
That's what I was going to mention is that the
There's no
idea of
force.
every developer that uses your API, like responding to and respecting your deprecation message is kind of a
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, absolutely.
Like that's it sounds like wishful thinking to me. Like, and I know like there's old apps that I've written that use APIs
Yeah,
that I have no intention of ever looking at
ever.
that code ever again.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sure
Yeah,
that goes for plenty of other people too.
yeah, absolutely. Until it stops working, why are you gonna go change it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that happens
I don't know if
so
that's a
much.
me problem or like a systematic thing, but
I
yeah,
think
it's
I think it's both. It's not like a you problem. It doesn't make sense for you to go refactor just for the sake that the API is changing if everything you're doing is working
true.
fine and you're not planning on modifying that code. It just
Hmm.
what's the point? Why how would that be a good use of time?
Yeah.
And from their end, it would sucks to have to, do that. To have to force your users to migrate or face errors. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
just like deprecations just suck either way, and I get it. I get why they're done, but it's just not fun on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a way that we can solve the issues? And so he's saying versioning fields, which is what where you were leading us earlier, actually. And he's saying that there's two different approaches, right? So code first and schema first when it comes to like coding a GraphQL schema. So he used a schema first approach, he's saying in the last example, And then using a code-first approach, though, the schema can become dynamic, changing its shape and attributes depending on the context. That's interesting. In my previous article, speeding up changes to the GraphQL schema. I'm interested. I'm just going to open it. I described how the strategy works and the goal of allowing different teams in the company. All right, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Let's see the strategies to enable more than one resolver to satisfy a field. Interesting. And they can apply the same strategy to version fields. Let's see an example. Let me see code. Oh, interesting.
I see.
So he's saying that you make version part of the query.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So here's my thing about that. That's it. Oh, that's wild. Because how do I see? I need to see the part about the versioning because, how do you represent that? In the surname example, it went from being required to not required. So even if you're passing a query, how do you change whether or not the response in something that's statically typed is required or not? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the required nature of the the nullability of a field is indicated on the schema level, and that's at the
Right.
same place where you define that or indicate that it accepts a version argument,
Right.
but you don't have the opportunity at the schema level, as far as I know, to uh, you know to flip the nullability flag based on the value of an argument.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's see if he does it with. I would love to see him do the surname example.
Yeah. So applying this field to our deprecated surname, you can now begin. And that tag the.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
okay.
wouldn't work if you change the field type, Patricky says.
Yeah. Yeah, most breaking changes happen to the Skeevil. Yeah, I want to see if we get a little further. I want to see what do you got going on here, right? But yeah. Use service URLs version constraint. Oh, is he? But that's again graphical. But this is from the. It's so weird because he switches from query to type, or from showing schema to switching to queries. But that's so weird. All right. I was hoping that if I kept scrolling, I would see an example of the schema.
Hmm.
He did say that it wouldn't fix the problem of required versus not required, so I'm a little confused as to why we'd want to do this. Conclusion.
Yeah, TLDR.
Yeah. La da da da. Please notice that there's no. Okay, in this article. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I think you'd still be stuck with person's surname there. Am I crazy?
Um,
I'm gonna go back because I feel like I missed something.
I think one of the things that he does that I noticed him point out there is talking about default values. So
Oh,
um, I
this.
think what he would have done is made the surname nullable and define a default version if the version field um, was less than the version at which it became nullable.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
That's my at a glance uh, thought about this, I guess. So
That's
Mark
weird.
says it's only useful if you want to make changes to the behavior of the field and not its schema
Got
or
it.
type.
Got it. That
Yeah,
makes
that
sense.
that, that makes sense, right? And
Yep.
that sounds in line with kind of what we just talked about.
Yep.
And Patricky, that would mean that you're right as well. Like it's not about changing the field type.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's about changing its behavior.
Field behavior. Yeah. Okay. Which is cool. I get that, and it's still interesting and useful. Yeah. I just thought when I was skimming through this, I was like, oh, I think this is like how to deal with like deprecating and like at the schema level, how to deal with these changes.
Right.
Yeah. Still very interesting. I also did I
Yeah,
drop a link to this? Yeah, you did.
I got it. Yeah.
Um, I just wanted to see what this was about. Oh, it's part of an ongoing series, so I'm gonna back out of that for now, just because, you know, who knows what kind of rabbit hole that'll get us down. Um, yeah. All right. Let's see. I think I'd rather use directives. I agree.
Yeah, I think that feels like a nicer
Yeah.
um, separation of concerns that like the version doesn't seem to me uh, like it necessarily fits well as an argument to a field. The I mean, and
Eh,
that's up. It comes down to style, but like I think of the like field arguments
yeah.
being things that like map in some way to the type itself.
Yep.
But it's all a matter of taste.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only place where it makes sense is where like you specifically want like different versions of something, like tracking a document's history or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Like you might want to store that like so they can see all the states or
Mhm.
whatever, but not as a way to version the API itself. Like if the data you're dealing with has versions, then yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Honestly,
wild.
dude, I mean, like when it comes to, and I don't know if this would actually satisfy the thought that came to mind is that I still kind of like the idea of sending a version header. Like that way
Yeah.
in your when you configure your Apollo client, you could have it send a version header with every request. If you want to, like, depending on how the API is designed, either like opt into the new version or fall back to the old version. But it
Yeah.
still doesn't necessarily address um,
No.
the schema part of things. Like it doesn't mean that you can change types based on versions or things like that. I think that would require a more complicated change. Mind you, like it still might be possible. I'm imagining right now off the top of my head, like if you were to use just thinking about tools that I'm familiar with, you could use like a Apollo Server Express, run an Express server, and like parse the version header in Express, and then serve up the
Route
version of
that.
Apollo server
Yeah.
that maps to that
Yeah.
version, and that would be a way to separate the schemas. But that sounds like a whole ball of hair, and I don't know if
Yeah.
like there
Yeah.
might be an even simpler way to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, one way would be use Graph Manager. That would definitely make that a lot simpler.
Hey, yeah,
You just pick the version you want. Yeah, based out of
true.
all the track changes throughout time. Yeah, that would simplify things a heck of a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's an interesting topic though, and I don't think that you mentioned this before we dove into the article that it's not well documented. There's not like
No.
a clear best practice for this type of thing, and I think that having looked through the blog post and discoursed for a few minutes here, I think that's definitely still the case.
Yep.
Um, it's one of those things that will, I'm sure, continue to evolve over time, but we're nowhere near an answer yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Nowhere near
interesting.
a clear answer yet. Like you said, Graph Manager I think is a great tool for this kind of thing, but
Yeah.
but it's not. There's no silver bullet. That's for
Nope.
sure.
Absolutely. Definitely not no silver bullet at all. And even with Graph Manager and being able to provide whichever version of your graph that you want, like it's still like we've covered like 6 different ways in which like you could come about like getting to different types of graphs or versioning fields, and it's just not very clear at all. And there's different use cases for each thing. Like Graph Manager is helping you serve a whole graph, but then it's like you said, what if that's not what we're trying to do and we just want to like version certain fields or something? Like it's a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all right. Well, now that my brain is slightly melted, let's see. Let's see if we got anything else on the list.
I just threw the link to the a post about the React Adelphia event tomorrow
Perfect.
on the list, and I know that this isn't exactly GraphQL news.
It's circling. It's in the same galaxy. See what I did there?
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it really is like so the event. I said it was 1 p.m. Eastern time. I was wrong, actually. It's
Wah, wah, wah.
it's 6 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, right?
Yeah. Eastern time. So yes. No. Yes.
Yeah, it'll be
Yes.
6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, and yeah, it's completely free. Just tune into twitch.tv/reactadelphia.
Just tune
and
in.
It's going to be myself and 2 other speakers, Adrian and Daniel.
Nice.
Should be a fun time. It's not going to take up too much of your time, and you can watch us talk while you eat dinner or something. But my talk is going to be about. I'm going to be telling the story of how we built our multi-language code blocks in the Apollo docs. So
that's awesome.
Sense,
That's really cool.
It is like somehow related to GraphQL in that it's talking about GraphQL documentation, but yeah, it was a really fun process, and I think you guys will enjoy the story. So
Heck yeah.
Definitely tune in if you're free, and I'd love to see you guys there in chat.
Awesome. Yeah, no, this is exciting. I can't wait. I'm gonna tune in, and I'm gonna do just like you said while I'm eating my dinner. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. That wraps up my list, and I think that wraps up your list. So if we've got anything from the chat, now's the time. Any burning desires, drop in the chat now. Burning links. Yeah, because otherwise that's about it. Yeah, or chat, I guess, because
GraphQL directives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or chat, because we won't be able to hear you if you speak.
That's true. That's true.
This is dad joke.
You're allowed to make them.
Yeah, because I am a dad. But what, I thought I had a. Oh, here we go.
Oh, well done. Yeah, dude. The soundboard action is getting better and better, I gotta say.
I'm working on it. It's just hard, it's like gotta become that muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. For any interested, I'm using an app called Farrago. So that's how I'm doing.
Okay.
The soundboard. Robust, rapid fire soundboards. That's intense.
Oh, by Rogue Amoeba. Okay. I know those
guys. They do a lot of stuff.
I've heard of them. Right on. Well, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah.
I'm not getting any additional news coming from chat. That's fine. I think we covered
a lot.
Covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah. One more time, Apollo Space Camp. I want to see y'all there. Please come hang out with us. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. And, like, seriously, I can't wait for the schema design workshop. I'm so stoked for that. Yeah. Good talks, good friends. It's going to be awesome. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, where are we going to be this week? What are we doing? What do we got going on?
That's a good question. I mean, I've got some just some regular regular work, I guess. I'm doing some web development stuff, and obviously React Adelphia tomorrow.
Yep.
We've got another episode of Launchpad on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that.
And we got Auth coming on Wednesday for mission briefing. They're going to show us some fun stuff about authentication in GraphQL, so can't wait for that. Yeah. And I think that's it for this week. Yeah, which is plenty. Let me tell you, it's a lot. Yeah, so this will be up on YouTube as usual. Oh, a bunch of highlights have been uploaded recently from all of our streams. We just cut out all the cool, quick tips and dropped them right into a nice little highlights channel
Nice.
on YouTube. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So if you like this stuff, you should check it out because it's basically like all the like fun little tidbits just pulled out into smaller clips. It's nice. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and again, my hair is green for any who couldn't tell. I'll just show you again because it still surprises me. I woke up this morning and I had a real shock when I looked in the mirror.
It's gonna take a little bit to get used to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I forgot to drop the link. Did you just do that for me? Or did I do that earlier? I guess I did that earlier. The link to the tweet. Cool. All right. Well, that's it. I think we're gonna wrap up. Yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna drag this out.
Yeah. I guess the last thing that we can do tonight, if you're down, is we'll set up a raid. I was just looking on Twitch, prowling the science and technology category, and I found a gentleman who's moving an Elm extension to Lambda.
Ooh.
Using the Twitch API, and so I thought that was really interesting. I'm going to send you his.
That's a better idea.
Twitch account, and we can raid Wandable.
Okay, and so I got to figure out how to do this.
Go to Creator Dashboard.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that, but I gotta get. Sorry, let me grab the username real quick.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Wandable. Okay, I got that. So yeah, I guess I could just do this here.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm surprised I can't do this from Streamlabs.
Yeah, I know it's weird. But this is what we got.
I knew it. No, you could do /raid. You can't do hashbang raid, but you could do /raid from Streamlabs. So I'm gonna try that, but it might. Yeah, that might I don't know if that's gonna kill our stream.
No, I think it'll give us the prompt, and then you can hit
then we can
start raid.
Say peace out. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
Okay, cool. So it's getting ready to raid. So yeah, I guess this is it. This is where we say our goodbyes. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we're going to raid. Peace out.
What do you do?